Welcome to the Winning with Shopify podcast. This is the podcast to help you scale your Shopify store into a money-making machine. Email has the highest ROI of all marketing channels. Are you maximizing its potential and growing your list? Drive conversions and create more connections with Seguno, the top-rated email marketing platform built exclusively for Shopify. Seguno is offering Winning with Shopify listeners an extended free trial, plus a complimentary strategy session with an email marketing expert. Visit seguno.com/winningwithshopify to claim your offer. Now, over to your host, Nick Truman.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Winning with Shopify podcast. If it's the first time tuning in, massive welcome from me and the team. It's great to have you joining. If you like today's episode, leave us a review, hit the subscribe button, all the normal stuff. I'm not going to list it all because you know what's going on. If you've been tuning in for a while, you hear me say that every single week, but welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you with us. I've spoken to 3 or 4 of you in the last week as well, talking about different problems you guys have given us or challenges that you guys have faced with and been helping out with those, which has been really exciting. If you guys have any challenges, problems with Shopify, I'm not saying we can fix them all for free, but do drop us an email, hello@winningwithshopify.com, or check out winningwithshopify.com, fill out one of the forms on our website. We'd love to support you guys with that. And if you have any questions about email, some of the questions I'll be asking today, for example, and have been asking the last few weeks about email, are ones that you guys have submitted, or I've had it from 5 different people. So apologies, I'm not shouting you all out, but yeah, there'd be too many people to shout out. We're getting lots of emails, but keep them coming, keep engaging with us. And if you haven't already, check out our Instagram. I've been posting a lot more on Instagram recently. We've also been posting stuff from our guests and partners on Instagram, so make sure you check that out. And also our YouTube channel as well. So if you've been listening in the car, out for a run, or in the office or something, and you want to see what we actually look like here at Shopify, Winning with Shopify, check us out on YouTube. All of this is being streamed on video now and has been for the last few months. So great place to comment, interact with each other. Make sure you subscribe. We don't have many subscribers right now. Nothing compared to what we've got on Apple Podcasts. That's enough from me. Let's talk about today's topic. So today we're continuing our series on email, and I'm joined by a very special guest who is a Shopify merchant herself. Her name is Kristen, and she's the founder of Bake.Eat.Love. So Kristen, welcome to the show.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be a fun chat.
Good stuff. I'm looking forward to having you. And we've certainly been smiling a lot while we've been setting up. We've been, winding each other up, which has been quite fun. Anyway, we'll dive into today's episode. And as I ask all of our guests, Kristen, just before we get started with the first few questions about email, tell us a bit about your background and how you got involved in running this business.
Absolutely. So I am in the United States, and I'm a native of North Carolina.
Nice.
It's where I live today, and it's where I grew up. But the story of Bake.Eat.Love really starts in Seattle, Washington. So a few years after I graduated from college, I met my now husband, and we were actually living in Charleston, even though the story starts in Seattle. But at the time, he was in a training program for the naval submarines, and a few months later, he got stationed on a submarine base right outside of Seattle. So that's, if you're not familiar with the geography of the United States, it is just about as far away from the Carolinas as you can be. But I went ahead and moved with him. And my backstory is that I had a few years of marketing experience under my belt, and I was really excited to relocate to Seattle because there's a huge digital marketing presence out there, and that is exactly what I wanted to grow my career in. So even though there was a world of opportunity out there, I wanted to take my time and just really find the right role to grow my career in digital marketing and specifically advertising. But in the meantime, I was like, I want to do something fun. I want to work a job while I job hunt that I may never have another opportunity to do. So I found myself working at a cupcake and coffee shop, and continued my job hunt while I was working there. And if you've ever been to Seattle, it's known for the rain, which can be beautiful and wonderful, and it makes everything so very green. But it can also have a kind of dreary effect on things when it's rain, rain, rain all the time. You probably are familiar with that.
Oh, yes. In the UK, we have a lot of rain. Oh, yes.
Yes. So I discovered on one of these rainy days the power of brightening someone's day with a simple cupcake. And, you have folks coming in kind of grumpy from the weather, give them their cupcake, and it would really help turn their day around. And I was like, well, this is magic. And that inspired me to find a way someday to share this joy in my career. But that would have to wait because I ultimately did land the marketing role that I was searching for. And over the years, I had the opportunity to work at some remarkable companies in the marketing departments and to learn from peers and supervisors who were both in my department as well as across the marketing department. And you know, over the years, I did, as I mentioned, move back to North Carolina, and I was working at a tech company out here, startup tech company, when something really interesting happened. My mom asked me what I wanted for the holidays. And at work, we had this group that would get together and we would make desserts from the Great British Baking Show.
Yes,
And
we're very
it was
proud of
so
that
much.
program. Very
Yes, and
proud
it's
indeed.
amazing. And they make so many wonderful things.
Hmm.
And we all kind of felt like we were bakers at heart. We had like the show really resonated with us. But when we'd go to make the different desserts from the show, about 80% of the time, 80-20 rule, we would have mistakes in our bakes.
Hmm.
We would have used an incorrect ingredient, wouldn't have been able to find the ingredient, may have measured improperly,
Yep.
may
Well,
have
they do
skipped
make
a
it tough.
direction.
You know, it's supposed to be a
Exactly.
challenge, the show,
Yes.
so it doesn't
And
surprise me. But yeah, it is difficult.
and
Yeah.
it would be. So we would just, we would still have so much fun making the dessert, and whatever
Hmm.
we ended up with, we would love it and eat it. It just may not look like what they'd made and like the technical challenge. So, it was kind of an interesting time in my life where I was like, I love making these desserts, but I want to get better. I want to have desserts that I'm like really genuinely proud of
Hmm.
when I bake with my friends or when I bake for myself. And I started thinking about it. It's like, where do you learn to bake? Where do you learn to be a better baker? Culinary school, maybe, but that really didn't line up with my career trajectory. I wasn't, ready to quit my corporate job to pursue this passion project. I really wanted to learn how to bake on my own time in the comfort of my own home. And so that got me thinking, hey, maybe there's a subscription baking kit out there that can
Hmm.
help me sharpen my baking skills one recipe at a time. But I couldn't find one that was a fit for the type of recipes that I wanted to learn and provided that like structure that I was looking for.
Yeah.
So my husband and I set out to create it, and that's where we started Bake.Eat.Love.
Nice, nice. So, what year did you launch the website then? How long ago was this?
So the idea came to us in 2018, and then
Okay.
we started building it out in 2019, and we launched the website. I think it was June of 2019, and
Nice.
shipped our first kits that month.
Just a year, just over a year before, or just under a year, sorry, before the pandemic, which, yeah,
Yes,
can imagine was exciting. So,
yes.
so you obviously launched it. How did you get it off the ground? I guess is the first question because we're subtly going to bring it onto email at some point soon. How did you get your first few email subscribers? How did you get your first bit of traffic in? How did you get people actually engaging with the business?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny that you ask because having been in marketing for about a decade, I was like, oh, I know how to launch a campaign. I know how to run like a pre product launch campaign, how to get
Yep.
subscribers. And so that's what I did. I built it wasn't even the real website yet. It was like
Hmm.
just a landing page. I started social media, etc.
Yeah.
And the number of signups that we had was so low.
Yes, I've been there.
And we'd already, of course, you have to prep things in advance if you're
Hmm.
making a physical product, especially when you're doing the manufacturing components of it. So we'd planned on a certain number, and I'm telling you, we had a fraction of that number of boxes actually shipped.
Yep.
So we didn't really start with a big bang that I had hoped for and had planned for.
Hmm.
But we have been growing ever since,
Yeah.
and I think that's the important part.
And I guess the other thing as well is because they're edible products.
Hmm.
Obviously sugar and stuff can last quite a while, but I assume there's a shelf life on this, isn't there? So if you don't sell stuff, there's only so long you can actually keep it.
Exactly. Yeah. So there is a shelf life. And, we quickly learned that as a subscription box, we would need to not just be a subscription box, but have a way of selling that one time inventory,
Hmm.
maybe doing discounts on it or whatever we needed to do to get it out the door,
Yeah.
so that we weren't, having to mark it down as waste.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what did you do next then? So you didn't get anywhere near as the amount of subscriptions as you needed, or certainly signups and orders initially. How did you start to build momentum? What was the thing that changed, or what was the set of things that you did to get to that point where it's like, okay, now we're actually selling some products?
Yeah. So, we had kind of our woohoo launch. It didn't go
Yes.
off with a bang. There was no confetti. And we kind of found ourselves at a place where, like, okay, I know that I'm not the only one that feels the need to learn how to bake,
Hmm.
but we didn't make as big of a splash as we wanted to. So how can we do that as a bootstrapped company without really investing ad dollars or any, additional marketing budget, because we didn't have a marketing budget at that point.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
what we did is we started working with partners. So this is like marketplace partners. So we were on a marketplace, we're still on there today, called Cratejoy, and it's only subscription boxes. So like, how can we partner more closely with this marketplace so that they'll support us to their captive audience that's much larger than ours, and we'll be able to capture some of those that are interested in baking kits.
Hmm.
And then how can we partner with the vendors? So each month we have a different recipe, and each recipe has a specialty ingredient, and that's a featured ingredient. So that's almost like a native, like, advertising spot for
Yeah. Someone.
a brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we can promote them, but how can we cross promote to each other's audiences? If you love the jam that's going into our box, you may love our box. So how can we work with these partners both on pricing, but also on promotion, do giveaways, and promote each other to each other's email base, as well as social. So we kind of really, pulled the strings together and said, who has audiences that are like ours that we can get in front of, and it's this I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of situation.
Yeah.
And so that's really what got us the momentum that we had in the early days.
Nice. And a very smart way to do it. I mean, some brands, when they have no marketing budget at all, there's no investment, it's like, okay, we've got some stuff, we've paid for that stuff, we need to sell that stuff, whatever these products are. Some people go down the Kickstarter route, some people go down the let's get some investment and roll it out route. Some of them, they might be a celebrity already, they might have a Instagram following and go, well, I can start pushing it to these guys and get our first 1,000 orders through. And once we've got 1,000 orders, we've got some money, we can spend some money on, and have some budgets for marketing, that kind of thing. But I think certainly the marketing partner route, I think, is a really, really smart one. Do you? And I imagine the answer to this is yes. I'm going to go out on a limb there. It might be completely no. Are you still working with a lot of those partners? Have you found actually that's become a bit of a foundation for you, and you've built up from there then?
Yes, definitely.
Cool.
Definitely. And I think this is also like a really great way to run your subscription box. Like, if you have a subscription box and you're not like valuing the providers of the products in each box as partners, I think that is a huge opportunity for you to continue to grow your business in different ways.
Yep.
But yeah, we are still working with many of them, but not all of them. You try one direction and another, and you really just have to feel it out and find out what type of partners are going to be right for you. And some of that does also come down to what size their business is. Like, we probably can't ever partner with, not, maybe I never say never, but like Hershey's is probably a little too big for us. But are there other smaller chocolate brands that would love to get in front of our audience, and we would love to get in front of theirs and cross promote? So some of them we are still working with, but others, it wasn't as great of a fit. So we continue to focus and double down on those that are working well.
And I think, we're certainly working partners. You said that some of them weren't a fit. I think we work with lots of partners like Seguno, who's a mutual partner to us and to you guys. We work with lots of other tech companies, other agencies, to do exactly as you're describing, to cross-pollinate as a business. And I think it's exactly the same as you're doing. I mean, you only learn by doing, though, with it, don't you? And you start to almost, a bit like when you're hiring staff, you start to have this kind of criteria of, okay, we need people with this kind of personality for their business, which, let's face it, normally comes from you and I. As the founders, it's, if we don't get on with them, no one's going to get on with them, because we've hired everybody, and if we make a decision, it needs to stem down, etc. So you often end up, this kind of critique list with staff, which I would say is very similar to partners of, do they align to our values? I mean, even technical things like if their payment terms don't align with us, what you
Yeah,
don't want is, well, we're paying you all this money for this bit that's come in revenue in 30 days and you're paying us back in 90 days. Well, that's not really fair. And if we pay you in 90 days, we've now both got this giant cash flow kind of problem of, if I stop making any money, I've got 90 days worth of money to be thrown. Just all those little things, if they don't line up, it can be a real pain. And I imagine you probably, as time's gone on, a bit like us, you're getting more and more kind of fussy and particular about not just who you partner with, but also how you partner with them, like how you onboard them. And you can almost see a sort of, this is a good fit, and you know it straight away, and you just go gung-ho for it. And other ones of like, I know you want to partner with us, but I'm struggling to say no, but it is a no. It's like, it's just not going to work. We're not aligned.
Exactly.
So I guess, how do you find partners? How do you align with them? How do you have those conversations to make sure they are a good fit and that this is going to work for both of you?
Well, so I think the great thing about having a physical product is that we generally start with a sample. So it's like a toe in the door, not even a foot. It's just like, hello, like, do you provide people like us with free samples? And then you can kind of start the conversation from there. Some companies are just through the moon to hear from us and excited to send us samples. And others, that may take like 2 or 3 weeks for them to even get back to us. So you start to know, even from that very first like date, if you will, you get an inkling of like, is this going to work out for us or not? But the more and more, we find those strong partners, the more we're able to like plan out our calendar around them. We're coming up with our next round of desserts for next year. Which partners do we want to continue to grow our relationships with, who has some cool, fun ingredients that we can start working with? And oftentimes after they we paid the bills or whatever for the last shipment, they'll say, what can I send you next? So that's, I think, when you have like a really strong partnership.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess you're almost in the driving seat in a way, because you guys are the ones sending it out to customer, aren't you? So you're saying, we would like to buy in your ingredient and put it in our product. So they'll promote you anyway to say, we're now featured in these hampers. So if you want to buy our product, you can buy it from these guys and you get it with all the other stuff and make a dessert out of it, or a cake or something, as opposed to just come and buy one from us and you still need to go to the grocery store and buy other bits and pieces to go in the bake. You can tell I watch Bake Off sometimes. So slowly learning the lingo. But I think, the free sample route, I think, is fantastic. We've been doing it more and more with partners we work with to say, how can we try before we buy? And I think certainly some of our clients have sort of said, oh, we've got to link up with this major brand. Like, I'll give an example. I won't say who they are, but they had a link up with Nike. Nike were going to make a special product for them with their brand on it, co-branded by Nike, et cetera, et cetera. And everyone was very excited, and everyone got a bit carried away with what it's going to look like and how it's going to work. And no one really looked at the contracts, and it all ended in tears, needless to say. Nike didn't pay up on time. They didn't deliver enough product. The product wasn't of very good quality. And actually they sort of said like, oh, if only we had seen a sample first, which is exactly what you're saying. I guess with you guys, it's like, send a sample and we'll try it, which is obviously must be one of the perks of the job. And taste it and go, actually, that does not taste very nice, or it doesn't work in a bake. Actually, we don't want to provide it. Because I guess at first you are kind of doing a land grab, aren't you? Like, let's just get any customers we can. We need money. We need product selling. We need email addresses in our system. But I guess as time goes on now, you've now got your database of customers, which is hopefully still growing. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. But you've got your database of customers. You've got your brand awareness. There is a sentiment people have when they think about you, which once they've tried the product is probably actually more of a sensory taste as opposed to what it would be for an item of clothing, which is the feeling of wearing that item of clothing, or people's reactions to seeing you wearing it, or that car you drive, which has all the different sensory things. I think there's a great quote from this guy, Rory, who's from an agency here in the UK called Ogilvy, I think global. But yeah, he said the other day that, like, to an economist, price is a number. To a consumer, a price is a feeling. And I saw his talk at the Digital conference a few weeks ago, and it was absolutely brilliant. And he spoke about that kind of thing, which I think really hammers home that actually, if you were to put bring it back to the samples, if you were to put a bad product in, or a product, worst of all, didn't bake properly, if the cake didn't rise when it was in the oven, or actually if you get it out and the chocolate tastes burnt, and you're like, this is not what that has the adverse effect of, I'm not buying from you again. So where you guys might have done a land grab because they're saying, yeah, we'll put you in front of everybody, all of our customers, and we'll sell thousands of them. You got to make sure you're not distracted by the short-term cash to lose the long-term cash, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. I would say like customer sentiment is one of our most important things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's bring it around to email then. So obviously you
Yeah.
guys are a subscription-based business, but you said earlier you're not just subscription, you can do a one-time purchase. I guess the first question really then is how do you, if someone doesn't buy first time, how do you try and engage with them? You know, how do you, that 97, 98% that doesn't convert on their visit to the site, how do you engage with those guys? Like, how do you get them to sign up to email? What do you talk to them about? You know, what does that side of email for you guys look like?
Yeah, so I would say most of the folks who we do capture their email, but they did not end up purchasing, most of them have signed up through a pop-up. So we offer a pop-up discount
Cool.
on your first purchase. And you know, if you subscribe, you subscribe. If you buy a one-time product, you buy a one-time product. Lovely,
Mhm.
we'll keep that conversation going in that direction.
Yep.
And if you make it into the checkout process, we'll keep the conversation about the things that you are interested in buying with any type of, we have several shopping abandonment email flows. But if you sign up and we don't know really anything else about you, we don't know what product you're interested in, etc., then we do send you through a
Hmm.
welcome series where the first email is a reminder about that discount because that is, you know, we think that hopefully that is still on your mind why you gave us
Yep.
your email address in the first place. But then for the next couple of emails, we drop that. We talk about ways that you know what we're doing to help bakers. So things that we can do to like help, like you said, buying is about feeling how the
Yep.
customer feels, what their sentiment is, and we want to grow trust with you. So the next couple of emails are about building up that trust, like about you know, check us out on social media. Like these are the things that we
Mhm.
do. We have free classes, we have tips and tricks, etc., and helping them have that trust. And then after a few more emails, we send them a reminder. Hey, your discount is about to expire. Here's the best sellers, just as like that last little poke. You know,
Mm.
we probably could poke them a bit more, and maybe one day we will. But for us, that email series is about um, helping them get to know us as a business
Yep.
and what we have to offer them beyond just the product, and building that trust and relationship.
Nice. And thank you so much for that. I've got several questions off the back of it. We're
Yeah.
going to start with the word conversation. So I said about sending emails to people. And I love the fact that you didn't say, yeah, we send emails. You said, we've got to keep that conversation going. And I think it's really, really key, as you really nicely put it. It is a conversation, isn't it? You know, my
Mm-hmm.
guest last week, Sonia, we were saying, well, I say we, she was saying, not myself. She said that don't tell your customer stuff on email. Talk to them. You know,
Yeah.
I've actually used that quote today in a slide deck I'll be doing at a conference next week because I think it's so powerful and it's exactly as you say about the conversation. So I guess my question really is, how do you put a conversation into an email though? Like, does the user physically hit reply and respond, or as you say, you go through that flow of like, here are some ways we're helping bakers. These are some courses, some tips, and then eventually come back to discount. Like, how does that conversation actually flow in terms of the content of those emails?
Yeah. So I think in terms of conversation, it is kind of it is a different dynamic than you
Mm.
and I having a conversation. There's not as much of this type of back and forth,
Yep.
but I think the conversation is about ways that the user or the viewer of the emails can stay engaged.
Mm.
So, okay, they
Yeah.
get an email about the different types of, you know, things that we're doing across social. Well, hopefully their next step in you know, them taking a step with the conversation is to go to social and to follow us or see what we've got going on, just like taking the relationship a little
Mm.
bit deeper.
Yep.
And then we always invite them. There's a hashtag that we use, hashtag BELBOX, Bellbox,
Mhm.
so that they can tag their bakes with that, regardless of whether they
Nice.
are coming from us. We just want to see them. We want to
Mhm.
like see what they're going through, and comment on their bakes.
Nice.
So I think it's, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that they need to reply to the email, and it's
Mm.
honestly pretty rare that we do get replies, but it's
Mhm.
like, what is the call to action, and are they going to want to take that next step to get deeper in the relationship?
Yeah, and I absolutely love that. I think the fact that you even say to people like, it doesn't have to be one of our bakes, but just tag us. We'd love to comment.
Hmm.
We'd love to see what you guys are baking at the moment. Immediately, you're taking a step away from email marketing and into actually community building here, because you're now getting
Hmm.
people to engage, because you're not the only people that are going to see those hashtags. That everybody else is going to see each other's hashtags. And if you
Yeah.
post 2 or 3 times on Instagram or Twitter or something with a hashtag, you're naturally going to start to see those hashtags popping up. It's where the algorithm works, is to say, I mean, I'm a massive Chelsea Football Club fan, so I might have just lost half our subscribers. We'll see. But I'm a massive Chelsea fan, and so when I go on Discovery on Instagram, I see lots of pictures of Chelsea Football Club. People sharing stuff, going like, "Oh, we should sell this player. That game was awful." Or, certainly, that's been the sentiment the last 2 years, I think, at the club. But but it's that whole point of, if people are baking a lot, they'll start seeing baking content, which actually means they might see stuff where
Exactly.
you guys are the centerpiece, aren't you? You are the hashtag. You're the ones that have been pushing that out there. I think it's a really, really smart way to do that. And then coming on to like the other bits of email content you mentioned. So I love the thing about keeping them engaged. Having like how you're helping bakers, courses, tips, that kind of thing. Some businesses we work with, and bear in mind we do SEO, so one of the things we end up doing is saying like, we just need more content. And what's a sidestep from buying this product? Well, it's a buying guide, it's a course, it's FAQs, it's tips. It's so time consuming to build all of that. But I think
Yeah.
actually the thing that a lot of people miss is they build it all and almost just kind of keep the SEO banner above it, going like, it's just for SEO and that's kind of it. Rankings have gone up, traffic's gone up, everyone's happy, but revenue hasn't actually changed. Whereas I think, as you guys are saying, like, you're using it in the middle of a welcome flow. And I imagine the chance of someone getting from that first welcome email to making a purchase, or the nudge with the discount code expiry sort of thing, getting that nudge from you guys in that journey, the chance of them converting is much higher if they've seen this content. I mean, do you get
Yeah.
pretty good engagement rates then of people reading that content or videos or whatever the the sort of format is? Do you find people engage with it quite a lot?
We do find people are engaging with it. I think like there's always an opportunity to optimize, to improve.
Hmm.
So I'm never, I guess I'm like, no, I am a glass half full gal, but
Okay.
I'm always like, well, what can we do to like improve this even more? So
Mm.
we definitely do see like strong open rates, strong click rates, but I think you start somewhere and you just continue to build on it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you said that as well, because I've certainly I did a talk on SEO myths a few years ago, and one of my SEO myths was SEO, as a quote from this hilarious film in the UK called The Inbetweeners, completed it, mate. And it was like, well, you've never finished, have you? Because like, you get to number one and then everyone else gets up and above you, and you have to keep
Yep.
doing stuff. You have to keep ahead of the game, and most importantly, you have
Hmm.
to engage with customers more than anyone else. That's what
Yep.
Google and customers and Shopify are all looking for. That's the main thing
Yep.
that's driving this thing. But yeah, as I say, come back to your email flow. I think then that discount expiry date, such a smart little thing. I can't imagine you got out of bed on the first day you launched the business and were like, that's going to be the end of the flow. Like, did you test some other stuff before you did like a kind of discount expiry, or was it just an obvious thing that Seguno or someone else suggested? Like, how did you actually come about with that? Because you kind of just said it so quickly, like, oh yeah, and then we'll remind them the discount is expiring. It's like, no, but that's the bit. I've been engaging with you for however many emails now, and reading this and reading your content, and like, oh no, my discount. Like, and it's
Yes.
really smart. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I would say that is definitely the newest piece, and
Okay.
we're still excited to continue to gather data around it.
Mm.
But as we're transitioning over to Seguno, I was having a chat with someone who works there. I was like, "Hey, I really wish like this is something that I wanted to do for a really long time, and I wish this was
Mm.
possible." Like, but it is. This is where you go to. I was like, what? So that is something that has more freshly launched.
Nice.
There is native functionality inside of Seguno that whoever you give a discount to and you decide you want to set an expiration date, you
Mm.
can set it so that they get a unique discount code, and then like you can have an automation like 2 days before, 1 day before, whatever you want to do
Yeah.
before the email, before the discount expires. You can
Mm.
send them out some automated emails. So we're excited to get some good results around that.
Nice, nice. And the only tip I'd give you just on the discount expiry one is, one of my clients last year, the day before they launched their Black Friday sale, I don't know if you do Black Friday or not, but the day they launched their Black Friday sale, they actually sent an email out to any outstanding discount codes and said, we're deleting all of them at midnight tonight. And they sent it out at 9 a.m. UK time. So obviously then it went out. Everybody in the US got it as they woke up, sort of thing. They had a record day of sales that day. They deleted
Wow.
all discount codes at midnight, but they hadn't mentioned Black Friday yet. But people were getting a bit kind of like, oh, this is a gamble. Like, do I use the
Yeah.
15% off code, or do I assume Black Friday or something's launching? But
That is
they
so
didn't say like
fun.
your discount. They said all discount codes.
All
We're deleting
discounts. Yep.
all discount codes at midnight, and we're launching something else tomorrow. And they deleted all the, and like I think it was like 20% of all discount codes were used like that, like within hours or
Wow.
within 20 minutes of opening the email they'd purchased, and it was like bang, 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 orders coming in. And then they were like,
That is
maybe
such
we'll
a
just
good idea.
cancel Black Friday because we've just had a
Yeah.
bumper day. They still did it, and the next day they launched like a 10% off on Black Friday, and they had a few complaints because people were then saying like, oh, I had a 15% discount code and I gambled, and now it's only 10. So they were like, all right, we'll honor the 15, but this code won't work with Black Friday discounts. You can't have both.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you can still use this code. And then what they did is they started at 10, and they basically had a big range of stock of products. And they basically, when these products are out of stock, they're gone. And that's it. And it's only this range with Black Friday discounting. But we're going to increase every day the Black Friday discount by another %. So it was like, but then none of them went out of stock in the first kind of 5 days. So we sort of said to them, just mark some as out of stock, just and make sure it's like 3 of your best sellers go out of stock, and then you can do another email in a week or two's time and go, they're back. We've got some more stock, and we've decided to very kindly put it, and we did that, and then suddenly the sales were flying in. But yeah, they started putting like how many were left. Once it was below 5, it would say how many were left, and as soon as anything said below 5, they were gone. So the stock they had the biggest profit margins that had been lying around the longest. Just get rid of it. just say there's only 5 of them left, and they sold like 30 or 40. Now, bear in mind, these guys are in the US. If anyone's in the UK, we do have some slightly stricter rules about this. Things can only be officially discounted if they're at full price for a certain time. You can't lie about stock levels and stuff, I don't think. It's not my area of expertise, but make sure you check the laws in whatever country you're in. But yeah, I think the discount codes, the expiry of discount code is really, really powerful. Be really interesting to find out in a few months, what the results of that have been and what you guys are doing with it.
Definitely.
Next question then about segmentation. Some brands I've spoken to in the last few weeks and last few months have done none at all, and some have done loads and gone down to like these 100 people. How much do you guys segment between different audiences?
So that's a good question, and I'm going to go ahead and say something vague. It depends.
Okay.
But I'll give you a little bit more information about why. So if you are currently a subscriber, you get specific emails about the dessert that you are receiving. And we want to make sure that you, and only active subscribers get those particular emails. Yep. But if we're having a sale, I want to share that with everyone. Everyone who is to a degree engaged. If you are not engaged at all, then you're not going to get, after a period of time, you're not going to get any more emails from us. So I would say we do segmentation, but it's not particularly nitty gritty. And I think, another component of this is that like our product doesn't necessarily like care as much about who you are. So we don't have as much of a need to segment in that way.
Yep.
We're not selling baseball stuff to some people and football stuff to other people, or like American football stuff to other people. So it doesn't matter quite as much. As we introduce certain things with dietary restriction, maybe we will segment a bit more when it comes to that. But at the same time, like when it comes to dietary restriction, maybe you're buying a gift for somebody and, you want one thing versus another. Maybe dietary matters sometimes, but not others. So I think that's a piece of it too. Yeah, I would say more often than not, when we have big news, we share it with everyone who's engaged. When we have something specific to what you purchased, we're going to share it with that specific audience.
Nice. I think it makes a lot of sense. Gifting. Now that's an interesting topic, as you just mentioned. Do you guys do like gift wrapping and that kind of thing? And do you do anything different for the people that are receiving a gift versus, beyond gift wrapping, than people that are just receiving like, I'm buying it for myself or for my family or whatever?
Yeah. So all we do is gift messaging. So if you had a message for who you're giving it to, we'll make sure that gets printed out. But the box itself is end-to-end branded. It's a navy blue box with sprinkles, and it's very colorful and fun.
Nice.
And the point of it is to drive excitement when somebody sees that. If you choose to put it in a box and wrap it yourself, more power to you. But at this point, we don't wrap it.
Yeah. I guess it's quite powerful, though. I think certainly when somebody is sending a gift, I always say to clients of ours and retailers, like, well, you basically got two audiences now. There's two potential clients there. One is the person that's ordered it, might go, do you know what? That did look nice. And then they phone me up and said, oh, it was great. Thank you so much. I'm going to get myself one. Which now means you've sold two. And then the person receiving it might go, well, this was great, and I love baking, which is why I got this gift. I'm going to go and check those guys out. So there's two potential customers there, which is quite exciting.
Yeah. But I will say the one special thing that we'll do is if it is if there's a company that wants to hold a baking class, which is something that we also do,
Nice.
we have some different customization options so that they can have even though it comes in our box, when they open it, we want it to be a branded experience, so that they feel a virtual hug from their company, and have a chance to put a note inside of there as well. And we have had some companies who say, I want the box to be branded with my brand. And so we can also accommodate that as well for the bigger bulk orders.
Yeah. We actually have a new client here in the UK. I won't shout them out yet because we're in the process of building a new site and the current one's not very nice. But they are a bakery chain in the UK. So
cool.
they have been, I get so hungry on every call we're on. I get off the call and have to run and buy a donut or something after chatting to them, but which is not so good for my health. Yes. But those guys, they do branded like cupcakes and stuff now, which is amazing. So they
Very
literally,
cool.
they get corporate orders where it's like, okay, we've got a massive meeting. We're going to put the client's logo on our cakes. So they'll come up and be like, oh, who wants a cake? And be like, oh my gosh, there's our logo on the cake. That's cool. Where'd you get that from? It's like, oh, it's from the website. It's a little bit pixelated. We can fix that for you. But these kind of things. What do you do then with you mentioned earlier about some people unsubscribe, and that's fine. What do you do with people that unsubscribe or lapse, or you've been sending like your 20th email and you've just heard nothing? How do you manage those guys? Like, do you push harder with them? Do you just kind of let them go and stop emailing them? Like, what's your protocol?
Yeah, so once somebody unsubscribes, we still keep them engaged with the one-off emails that we send, as long as they're still opening emails and engaging back. And I think, we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but I think there's always so much green space when it comes to email, so much room that you can improve flows that you already have, or you can find opportunities to introduce new flows. And so we actually haven't built a win back campaign yet. That's something that is on our radar that we want to build, but it's also something where depending on your product, timing is everything. And for our customers, the number one reason why they unsubscribe is they say they don't have enough time to bake right now. Or they have a couple of boxes that have built up and they just haven't had the time to make each of those recipes. So, we want to be really careful about when we do send a win back campaign to them. And we haven't really nailed down what does that timing look like. So we're doing more customer research to better understand the timing of that, because the last thing we want to do is kind of try to hit home you need to bake more when they're that is the last thing that I can do right now.
I'm busy.
So I think that's a big opportunity area for us, but we need to figure out what the timing is, or have a mechanism remind me in X months or what have you. And maybe it is building that mechanism, or maybe it's just continuing to figure out through customer research what that timeline is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing as well is when people go to unsubscribe, one of our clients on subscriptions, it was a game changer for their statistics and data and customer engagement, where they changed it to say, would you just like to pause? And actually say if you pause, then we'll honor the discount you had when you first joined or something. But you got to tell us now how long to pause for, and is it 1, 3, or 6 months? Which I think is really powerful, because then it's okay, if I've got a few boxes stacking up, we're going to come back to you on this. One thing that you have in the US that we don't have in the UK, or one thing we have in the UK that you don't have in the US, is we've got more laws on emailing. So for our small but growing since I started hosting this UK audience, we can't send emails once people unsubscribe. That is especially consumer emails.
Oh, sorry. I meant unsubscribe from our subscription.
Oh, okay. So they're still subscribed to marketing. Gotcha.
Yes.
That makes more
Sorry
sense.
about that.
No,
I
absolutely
just
fine.
wanted to clear the air. We actually do
Yeah.
not send emails to those who unsubscribe from our email.
Cool.
Yes.
Which
This
is a
just to
good
folks
way
that,
to do it, I think. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
yes.
We had retention.com on the podcast for 3 months, December, January, February, end of last year, beginning of this year. And yeah, I was getting so upset at the end of the episodes we were recording because they kept saying, yeah, anyone who comes on your website, we can give you their email address. I'm like, it's so illegal in the UK, but it's fine where you guys are in the US. But yeah, if you're not using retention.co.uk, I highly recommend it. And what's awesome actually is if you use retention.co.uk, retention.com, .co.uk is here, retention.com to gather email addresses of almost anyone. They reckon it's about 60-70% of people that come on your site. You can then use that info with Seguno. So Seguno can do the emailing for you. Retention will actually get you that database. It's a really, really powerful weapon in the war against bad marketing, which is waging on. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I think when they unsubscribe, like they're still subscribed to marketing. I think you're right. You've got to be really careful then, because if they unsubscribe from the actual product arriving, the chance of them leaving your marketing as well is like, that's like the final straw, where it's like, you've now blocked my number. I actually can't call you.
Right.
So I think you're right to be very hesitant about what we do and don't send to those guys. And if it is just, as you say, just those sale emails or the big emails 3 times a year kind of thing, like Christmas is live, go, Easter's live, go, do some spring bakes or Halloween or something. I know Halloween's massive for you guys out in the US, then that makes a lot of sense.
Yes. We're very excited for Halloween.
Sure
we have a couple of like Halloween products, pumpkin cake pops, and then we have these milfoy that are like spooky. They look like spider webs. So we get very excited. But I think like to tie that back to email, I think like even though we don't have like a specific like subscription win back campaign, when we do, if you unsubscribe from our product but are still subscribed to email, when we do send out those like one-off blasts to everyone who's engaged, it's to increase excitement about the monthly subscription. It's to increase excitement about any one-time products that we've introduced or any new bundles that we're starting to put together, or sales that we have. And so like, even though it's not like, hey, come back, restart your subscription, it's like, well, I really want to learn how to bake that thing, and they may come back anyways.
You could do, I guess, a really good thing on email as well is to set them a challenge or something. See if you've got what it takes to bake this one without instructions or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you also want to get complaints of people going, "Well, I spent like however many dollars on this thing, it's not worked, and I can't even eat it." But I guess I use the phrase all the time, and our regular listeners know exactly what I'm about to say. One of my catchphrases has become like, "Marketing's been lost from digital marketing." We're so obsessed with statistics that I think when it comes to stuff like this, like you're talking about now, campaign creatives, when that's what businesses need. I think that everybody knows that furniture brand or that clothing brand that you bought one product for like $20 and they just won't leave you alone. You get an email every day, sometimes more than one, and just shut up. Like, leave me alone. I'm done with this. And I think it's really important to get that creative right, where they're just going like products, when actually what you're talking about, going back to the flow, which I wrote down, was like, you got your welcome series, and it's like, here's how we're helping bakers. These are the courses and tips. This is your discount's about to expire. Oh, you've used your discount. Now we know that you've used your discount. Well, now, and you've subscribed to something. Well, here is now information about what you've subscribed to help you enjoy it and keep that lifetime value as good as possible. So sounds amazing.
And I think the something that you kind of tapped on there is like, after somebody buys something, like, it's like onboarding again. Like, you had your welcome when we didn't really know you and we took the conversation in this direction, but now like you bought something, well, like here's other resources that go with your product, and you can keep on building that relationship and taking it to like that next level.
Yeah. We've had a chap called Ben Leonard from, he's a founder of Beast Gear. It's a really successful Shopify store. He's sold it. He's working with other businesses. And we had him on specifically talking about social media. But he said actually one of the email campaigns they used to send out to people at Beast Gear literally just had 3 big buttons. And it was like, what kind of athlete are you? And I forget the exact ones, but one was like, I go to the gym a bit, I want to feel good, and I can afford these products. But obviously not in those words. The second one then was like, I train a lot, but I just enjoy training. And the third one was like, I do like Iron Man, marathons and stuff. Like, I'm hardcore at this stuff. Like, if you've got a product that's going to help me shave 2 seconds off every minute, like, I need it. So he said they literally sent an email like that, and it was like they got 3 segmentations now. But it looks so simple, but getting to that email was like thousands of conversations with customers, surveys, like you were saying about doing a bit of customer research at the moment. Like, it all takes time, but if you know what you're going to do with it, or you work out the right execution of it, it's so rewarding. And data's only as powerful as what you do with it, and marketing is all hindered by, unfortunately, the digital analysts like myself who are like, well, that made a 2% uplift. It's like, all right, just put a good product on the shelf with some good photography, and wow, our conversion rates have increased. And it's like, no data is going to tell you that is going to happen. Data just tells you what happened. So yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, well, look, it's been so lovely to have you on the show, Kristen. I really appreciate your time. If people want to reach out to you, what's your Instagram handle, website, any other way to get in contact if they want to ask questions or try your baking kits?
Yeah, so we are Bake.Eat.Love.box.com, and our Instagram handle is at Bake.Eat.Love.box, which wasn't so long, but it is.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And anyone that is going to follow us on Instagram as well, we're going to tag these guys on Friday when this goes live. And we probably have tagged them by the time you're watching this anyway. So yeah, you can find their Instagram through that as well. But yeah, Kristen, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. It's been lovely to chat.
It's been lovely chatting with you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. And for everybody else listening, back again next Friday. Apologies, I posted last week's late. Byron was on holiday. I had one job only, and I didn't post it on time. So apologies, it was slightly late. But yeah, we're posting again next Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave us a review if you can. And also hit the subscribe button as well. It really helps us out and helps share the show with other people. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and have a great weekend.